always start with, do you want me to introduce? Or?
Yes, sir. It's a classic.
Welcome, everybody, to your favorite podcast. This is the Specifically Random Podcast, and where we talk about specifically random things. And I am Jonathan Longo.
I'm your daddy. Just kidding, Jade Monares.
Welcome back. Last week, we talked about a variety of different things, from Snow White to drugs to all these random topics.
Those episodes are up now.
The topic... I had a question last time. I didn't bring it up, dude.
Me too. I was gonna ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what do you think about participation trophies in today's climate, today's generation?
I don't know where it started.
Yeah.
What was the intention?
And by participation trophies, I mean that,
as in, you did a good job even if you didn't hit the ball at all. Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, good job on trying.
Or like, oh no, we're not gonna give you grades no more because then so and so will feel bad. You know what I mean?
The intention, I don't know what the intention is. I can just tell you what I believe.
Just to not make people feel bad.
But what is the actual intention?
Not make people feel like a failure. And that's what I seen another post today that said something. My friend went through like a 40-minute or a 4-hour Zoom meeting for a job interview just to not get rejected. Like, that shouldn't be okay for companies to do. And it's like,
just get rejected, you mean? Like, they got rejected at the end.
Yeah, but the whole
it was a waste of time, 40 minutes.
Pretty much. Like 44 hours or 40 minutes are under, I don't know, one of the two. So I was like, wait, why is it not okay? Like, why is it not okay to fail? That's what I'm saying. You know?
Well, that's why my question is, what was the intention of that? To make people, is the end goal for people to all feel comfortable?
Yeah.
If that's the case, then I think that's messed up.
Yeah, I think that's the intent. Not to single somebody out or make them feel bad or make them feel stupid.
I mean, there's a lot of people who believe that the only way you actually learn is when you're uncomfortable.
That's what I'm thinking. That's the same thing I think. You know, I think it's necessary for us to fail time to time.
I think it's actually the only way you learn.
That's the only way you grow.
Unless you're extremely smart and know how to understand that, the end goal was met, but in reality, the process wasn't the right one. I don't know if that makes sense.
No.
So let me just put it like this, right? Like, I don't know. I always do sports analogies because that's the only thing I know, kind of. Let's say I'm a coach, right? The end goal of the game is to win.
Yeah.
Right? But if the process is not there, you're not going to be happy in the sense of, yeah, you won the game. Best way I can explain it is that it was the year where I was coaching in LA, and it was the first game. Yeah. And let me just give you some context. The year before, we only won one game.
Fuck.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, first game of the season, we win 3-0. The kids come out of the game, and they notice that I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Right? And they go, well, we won the game. And I said, you guys don't understand.
Yeah.
Right? It's the way you played. The other team was horrible.
Yeah.
So, you won the game because we just have better players. You missed passes. You didn't go to the right spots. You didn't shift over like you're supposed to. You didn't do the stuff. Like, there needs to be a lot of things that need to be fixed. Yeah. You know? And the only way the kids or people... I don't want to say normal people. But the only way the majority of people...
The ends don't justify the means.
Yeah, like, the majority of the people would be like, oh, well, they won. That means they played well. Yeah. And in reality, so what happened was... We played like crap, dude. Yeah. And we won because the other team was sucky, dude. Yeah. So then what happened? Well, we met a better team. We started losing. So we went back right to where, we started we played guys, they came out. We're playing exactly the same way we played that first game. But I told you guys, you guys that we're not going to win if we play the way we played. Right. Against better teams, And that's kind of the thing where people, the issue with making people feel comfortable is that in reality, most people don't learn when they feel comfortable. So, like, the kids wouldn't, if I wouldn't have made that situation, if I wouldn't have made that situation uncomfortable, they would have went home and said, oh, damn, we won 3-0. We're a badass team. Yeah. But when their coach was like, dude, we won 3-0, but it's not good enough. Right. I literally drove all the way home going, dude, we won 3-0, but that's not good enough, And that's kind of like, well, the kids would have just went home. Right. Any normal person.
Right. The parents, I'm like, oh, good job. You guys did great. We won.
Yeah. Like, the parents would be like, oh, you guys won. Good job. And it's like, yeah. But they're, they're just trying to make people comfortable. And that's the biggest thing is like, normal people will only learn when feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The majority of people.
After you fail, I mean, you have to bounce back from that failure and you'll learn from that failure. You're like, well, what did I do wrong? Yeah. You know, rather than, oh, well, it's not my fault. It's their fault. There's no accountability, you know? And if you think you're perfect and there's no improvement, well, then you're never going to grow. You're never going to improve. You're not going to do better.
That's why there's a lot of people that's why that happens. That example that you gave before where it's like, oh, they wasted their time 40 minutes. No, you just got experience, baby.
Exactly.
Like you got experience and you failed. Do it better next time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of like the mindset. The mindset becomes, well, that's kind of messed up. Like I deserve this job. I deserve this. I deserve that. Yeah. And it's like, that's not necessarily how it works. Because in real life, it doesn't work like that, dude. And
like I said, I think it ties back to like what's going on in this climate, in this whole generation, when there's no accountability and they don't want to be in that place of discomfort. They don't want to feel like a failure. They don't want to feel uncomfortable. They don't want to take accountability for their actions or for what's going on around them. So they just wrap themselves in the. I mean, it's pretty easy to, if you're uncomfortable, you just go on your phone and look at your algorithms, and they're all gonna make you comfortable again. You know what I mean?
But yeah, man, you were listening. I'm guessing you were listening to you were listening to Joe Rogan, where this guy was talking about
the problem of comfort.
Yeah,
yeah, but it ties in with the Mark Manson book and everything. Yeah, and then I seen that, and I was like, we need to stop fucking normalizing. What did I say? We need to stop normalizing.
This has been a societal issue.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example of there's a video that I show my kids, right? It's this rabbi. Going back to
a rabbi.
It's a rabbi, and he talks about a lobster.
He doesn't touch children, right?
No, dude. My God, dude.
Uh-huh.
Dude, listen, dude.
I'm listening. No, I'm listening.
There's a rabbi talks about lobsters, right? And he makes a comparison that, we're like lobsters, right? How do lobsters grow? Well, they normally grow, right? I think it's either lobsters or crabs, one or the other, that shed their and then need to make a new one.
Probably crabs.
I don't know, whatever it is. I think it's a lobster, whatever he talks about. So how does it actually grow? It actually gets uncomfortable. It starts expanding and it gets too big for its shell. So that uncomfortable feeling, right, makes them grow up. It makes them like, okay, I need to figure out how to grow a bigger shell or whatever they do, right?
Yeah.
So then he explains that concept of like the lobster only grows because it feels uncomfortable, right? And he goes, in our society, what happens is when you feel uncomfortable, you go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, here's the pill for that, and here's the pill for this, and here's the pill for that. And they try to, basically what they do is try to just make you comfortable again.
Yeah.
And in reality, you need to feel uncomfortable to grow.
Yep.
And it's like, it's such a good like comparison because like that's exactly what happens. People just want to feel comfortable.
Yep.
And I was talking about this with somebody at work today, and it's just like you don't want to call somebody out because you want to feel comfortable, and it's like you don't want to get called out because you want to feel comfortable too. But in reality, you should want to feel uncomfortable because that's where you're gonna learn the most.
Yep. And that's what I was gonna say. We need to stop normalizing the avoidance of discomfort. The avoidance of failure.
Yeah,
we need to stop normalizing that shit. And I mean, like I said, again, I put my sister as an example.
Yeah.
When we're talking about something, and she's a whole different generation. She's only 18, and I start, breaking it down for her, and she gets uncomfortable. What does she do? She goes to her room.
Right.
She doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't want to deal with that discomfort.
Yeah.
So I gotta get her back. And tell her, no, you got to hear this. Whether it makes you uncomfortable or not, you got to hear this.
Right.
And then, she comes back like mad.
Because people don't understand. Yeah, people don't understand
uncomfortable. And then once she hears it, she, thinks about it. And then she's like, yeah, I mean, you're right or you're wrong. Whatever. But you heard it already.
And there's also a huge difference between making people feel uncomfortable in the sense of... We're talking about uncomfortable when it comes to learning, when it comes to growing, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between making fun of somebody and making them feel uncomfortable, right? Where you're like attacking them, like, you're stupid, you're this, you don't understand nothing, yada, yada, yada. But there's also a point of like, you need to feel that uncomfortableness so you can realize it, internalize it, and go, okay, I want to make myself better so that that doesn't happen again.
That's why Rogan always says about fat shaming.
Right.
You know, not that we need to fat shame people. We need to tell people like, hey, dude, you're fat. Okay. You need to it's not okay for you to be fat.
Right.
You know, like we shouldn't normalize people being fat.
Exactly.
Because it's not okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like you need to feel uncomfortable. And it's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's also okay to feel uncomfortable. And I mean, I don't want to say it's okay, but it's also valid to feel uncomfortable and not do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's also part of learning. Like, well, I didn't do anything. Then
Maybe you just don't care.
And then you'll feel uncomfortable again eventually, and then you'll feel uncomfortable again. Yeah. And then you either just grow or you don't.
Yeah.
Like, it's not comfortable right now having this podcast, and it isn't. Like, well, nobody's really listening. But, hey, fuck it. We can keep trying.
I know.
Honestly, like, that's what it is, right? Like, you're going to keep trying.
I'm not going to go home and cry.
Yeah, like, you're just going to try to improve.
Yeah, post about it. Like, oh, my God, nobody loves me.
Yeah. You know but, like, that's the point. It's like, how do we get to the point where we learn that uncomfortability or being uncomfortable, I don't even know if uncomfortability is a fucking word, but being uncomfortable is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Losing is actually a good thing.
It's part of life. You can't be happy all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's not okay to be happy all the time. You shouldn't be happy all the time. No, it's not. You should be sad sometimes. You should be mad sometimes, you know? Because if you're happy all the time, then it's like it kind of normalizes and you're not going to know what happiness is anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree, man. I think that's the issue. And you see that, I'm not going to say that a lot. There's a lot of people who are happy that, I don't know, the teacher calls them out in front of the students.
Yeah.
You know, or that
and it makes them uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah. Like I say this shit all the time, man. I when my son goes to school, or eventually if, you know, when he goes to school or whatever we decide when it comes to school, if he comes home to me and he goes, well, my teacher just called me out in front of the class because I'm failing the class and I'm not paying attention. Yeah. I'm going to laugh at you. I'm going to be like, you're an idiot. That's what you get. You know what I mean? Like, fix it. If you didn't like that, fix your attitude. It's fine. It's not the teacher's attitude. It's not the teacher's fault that you're failing, dude. Yeah. Like, you gave the teacher the right to call you out, dude. Yeah. And that's my whole idea. Like, my whole mindset is this. My whole mindset when it comes to teaching and when it comes to learning is, I wouldn't do anything to a kid. I wouldn't say anything to a kid that I wouldn't say to my own kid. Yeah, that's my whole mindset.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know, if I dude, my kid is only 2.5, and I make that fool uncomfortable all the time. I do. Yeah. Like, oh, you don't want to eat? Too bad. Sit down and eat. You need to eat. And some people will be like, well, he's only 2.5. No, he needs to sit down and eat. Like, that's the expectation right here, right now. Yeah. You know, and it's like he feels uncomfortable. I don't care. Okay, we'll try to do things around it so that okay, 5 more bites, dude. That's what you need right now. 5 more bites. Do it right now. And eventually he'll do it. Oh, you don't want to do it? Okay, well, you know what? Sit there until you do it. Yeah. Like, I'm not, oh, you're going to sit there all night? That's what you'll do. Like, I have no problem. I'll just sit in front of the TV and watch TV. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And
that's what they used to do to me.
And that's the thing that I'm talking about. Like, don't do something that you yourself wouldn't want to get done to you, or something that you wouldn't try to teach your kid. Yeah. You know? Like, I'm going to teach my kid. My parents always kind of like, they make fun of it because, like, well, you didn't have to do this, or you didn't do this when we didn't make you do this. Yeah. But I'm trying to play the odds here, baby. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just because you did this and I happen to come out, I happen to go to school, I happen to come out, a teacher, and I happen to graduate from college and all that stuff, doesn't mean that all the stuff that you did was right. Yeah. It just means that it just happened to work.
It could have gone the other way.
It could have gone completely the other way, dude. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I didn't read books when I was younger. I didn't. My parents never forced me to read books. But in my mind, I'm like, he needs to start reading books eventually, and he needs to read books. Yeah. Because I play the most people that you see that are super smart, especially now that you are able to see everybody who's like on the computer, and they always see like the background of your house. Everybody that's like an expert, fucking books, bam, books that they've read. Yeah. And it's like, dude, that's what we need right there. You need to read books.
Yeah, books.
And it's like, and they'll be like, well, you never read a book? Yeah. But it doesn't make it right, dude. Like, just because you didn't do something doesn't mean that I shouldn't, at least try. Yeah. My mom read books all the time, dude. Like, she would go to sleep reading a book. I just remember. Like, she would just, all right, let's read it for the next 45 minutes. I just was never taught that. I never was in my habit to, like, learn. And I feel like that's the point, is to make people uncomfortable, but with the intention of really growth.
Yeah.
Not be like, I'm gonna make fun of you just to make fun of you.
Yeah.
It's like the intention is growth, not the intention.
I'm just gonna call you ugly.
Yeah. Well, you can't really do anything about it. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's really the problem right now.
Yeah. Also, I think the problem is that a lot of these kids are not taking accountability, like I said right now. You know, they're like, something goes wrong. Oh, it's not my fault. It's society's fault. Like, it's not my fault. It's the teacher's fault. It's not my fault. It's my brother's fault. It's my mom's fault. It's whatever. My friend's fault. Whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. But I think that's a good point, dude. But to a certain extent, how do I explain this? To a certain extent, they're correct.
Yeah.
Right? But the problem is that it may be your parents' fault. It
definitely is the parents too.
It may but it may be your parents' fault. It may be your friend's fault. It may be your the society's fault. But how do you overcome that?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do to overcome that?
Right.
That's the whole point. And I feel like that's a huge political conversation where people go, you think it's a society's fault? Yes, I do. And they'll say, well, that's why you're a Democrat. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, I do think it's society's fault. I think society needs to get fixed. But it's also the individual who needs to be able to fight through that.
Yeah.
The difference is that for some individuals, society makes it much harder rather than others. So those individuals need to learn much better skills to get out of that situation. If you live in a neighborhood where it's all drugs, it's all just people selling drugs, getting shot up, it's going to be much harder to get out of that situation than somebody who never sees that at all, ever, you know? But it's still that person's, how are we going to teach that person to get out of that situation? And we can also try to fix the society. Like, we can do two things, it's not like we can't say two things at once, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's the huge thing. I think, like, I've gotten to a point now where, you know, I've been teaching for a while and a lot of that conversation comes up. Well, you know, we're trying our best. The school is not, you know, or the you know, at home, the society's this or the society's that. And it's true. But it's like we need to give those kids the skills to get out of that situation. Those are the important skills we need to give them. Yeah. And they need to be able to make their own decisions eventually.
Yeah.
You know, with the understanding that, yes, society is messed up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand that society part, you know. But you can't always blame everything on, you know, society. You know, everything. You can't do that all the time. That's what I mean. Like,
but in reality,
it's like what I tell everybody. Like, for example, like at work, like they tell me to do something, right? They're like, okay, make sure you turn this off before you leave. Yeah. Okay. But then, then my coworker doesn't do his job, so I got to do his job there too. So I'll say I do his job, and then I'm busy, and I'm doing my job, his job, and I'm cleaning up, and I'm doing other shit, and then I forgot to turn it off, and then I go home, and then the next day I come, and you know, my boss yells at me because I didn't turn whatever thing off. You know, what's the first thing that people say? Oh, I didn't do it because I was busy doing this, right. and I was. And it's like, no, dude. First, you gotta admit what you did wrong. Yeah, you gotta acknowledge that you fucked up. Yeah. Whether you're pissed about your coworker not doing his job or doing a million other things, no, you gotta acknowledge that you did. You didn't do the only thing you had to do. Right. You know.
But in reality, both statements are true, though.
No, yeah, but the first thing you gotta do is acknowledge your mistake. Take accountability for your mistake. And then you can go on and say, yeah, no, but this, and that, you know? And I'm not saying that's why I didn't do it, but I forgot about it because I was doing that. You know what I mean? That's just an example. I'm saying,
I see what you mean. Except, like your first statement should not be, well, I forgot because of this. Yeah. Your first statement should be like, yes, I did.
You know what? Exactly. I messed up. That's what I mean.
And just so that you know, this is why I messed up. Yeah. I'm not trying to make excuses. You're right. I should have done this, but I just want to inform you that all this is happening. Exactly. But at the end of the day, I should have at least done that.
Yes, take accountability for your actions first, and then.
Both statements. The thing is, like, I'll go back to the same.
Both statements are true. Yeah. But like I said, you gotta take accountability for your actions first. Yeah. And then if the world is fucking ending, then. Yeah, but that's how you grow as a person. You know what I mean? You got to look at yourself in the mirror.
Right. But it's just tough because like I can give you two like separate examples, right? Where it's like somebody who walks out their house and they don't have any issues, whereas somebody who walks out their house and they see people, I don't know, smoking all the time, and they walk by and they always ask them, hey, you want to smoke? You want to smoke? And it's like, you can be like, well, yeah, man, that person who walked out and saw the smoking, they could have just said no. They could have just said no. Whereas the kid or the person who comes out of that other house where they never see any of that, they never even have to feel that pressure, So that's kind of my point. Yeah, they both could have made the same decision and just said no and never done anything. But one decision is harder than the other one.
Well, yeah.
That's kind of like the idea there,
But at the end of the day,
at the end of the day, it's still no. Exactly. At the end of the day, you could have still said no.
Yeah.
But the decision is harder, dude.
Yeah, it is.
And that's kind of like that's my whole point. Yeah. Is that it's harder to teach a kid. It's hard to teach anybody in general. That's not like I'm not eliminating like, oh well, you work at this school and you it's easier. No, it's hard to teach everywhere. But I would say that, for example, a kid who has only 5 issues that they have to deal with in comparison to a kid who has 15 issues, I'm going to guess that it's going to be a little easier to deal with that kid who only has 5 issues.
And dude, I've seen that. When I was being a teacher's aide at this, it was elementary school in Rancho. I forgot the name of the school. And there was this kid, dude, and fuck, dude, he was just a troublemaker, dude. Like he would like not stop talking. He would get up.
Right.
He wouldn't do his work. He was always slacking off. And I was like, damn, dude. And I would talk to him, and he was pretty cool. And then every time I would tell him to do something, he would do it, And then he would stay on track when I would be there.
Right.
But as soon as I wouldn't, the teacher would tell me, when you're here, he behaves and this and that. But when you're not here, so whatever. So then she started telling me that apparently his parents were just going through a divorce. His brother was involved with drugs.
Right.
And all this shit. And I was like, she's like, you would not believe how many of these kids are affected by what's going on outside of school. Yeah. Even though they're just in sixth graders.
Exactly.
You would be surprised.
Yeah.
So imagine that's just 6th graders. Now imagine middle school, high schoolers. Yeah. It's tough, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not the same if you teach in Claremont High School as if you teach in fucking East LA High School. You know what I mean? It's gonna be way different.
That's the thing too. And on top of that, it's like these kids are gonna deal with different issues in comparison. They're still gonna have issues.
Yeah.
But in reality, these issues are layered on they have a level of more difficult issues than more simpler issues. I don't know, I don't know.
It's just
what shoes to wear.
Yeah.
Is still gonna be an issue in comparison in comparison to I may get robbed on the way to school. That's also an issue. Yeah. Those both things are issues. How am I even
going to get to school?
Right. Those two are both issues.
Yeah.
But some people will say, well, picking shoes is not as difficult as, thinking about how I'm going to get to school, and both have issues. It's how you teach them to deal with it and how you push through. At the end of the day, it's the individual's choice to figure out what it is.
But I think when you come out successful from the tougher situation or the tougher issues, I think you cherish more your victories, and you also how do I say, you value whatever it is that you accomplished even more. You don't take it for granted, And also, you're not, after you complete whatever you complete, you're not scared to take chances after. Yeah. Because you're not scared to fail.
It's just hard. It's just hard to get to that point in the tougher situation.
Yeah. But once you break that barrier,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But once you break it, it's like you're not scared to fail again because you came from the lowest of the low.
Right.
You're not scared to go back to that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Rather than somebody who never been there, they're scared as shit to ever fought to that. To the right. Wherever it is.
I see what you mean, man.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. I don't know. That's tough, right? Because it's I don't know, man. It's tough because you're just thinking of just different situations, different kids, the way they deal with it, the way participation. Is that gonna make that person feel comfortable? You know what I mean? Because think about that intention, right? The intention of somebody who's dealing with all this stuff, and you just and then on top of that, you make them uncomfortable because they don't know how to. Do a certain thing. So now, on top of that layer, you just on top of that layer of the uncomfortableness that they feel on, at home and all that stuff, you also make them uncomfortable at school.
Right.
So like that, the intention of like, well, at least let's try to get them comfortable somewhere, may be a better intention in some situations.
Yeah.
Like you don't know, I don't know. You're supposed to learn how to write a paragraph in whatever grade. But if that person can not even write a word, and you just like, dude, you can't write a paragraph, at least give them the say like the participation award of like, well, at least you wrote this word right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because on top of the uncomfortable, like the uncomfortableness that they feel.
But I don't think you can equate that kid writing one word to a kid writing like a almost perfect paragraph. Because
right,
then
you're not that
kid's gonna be like, well, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I even trying?
Right, but you're not gonna equate it, but you're gonna be like, well, at least you tried. That's a participation award for you trying.
I mean, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like it becomes tough. In very specific situations, it becomes very tough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I think in the overall context, I think people just use it as an excuse. Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, I agree.
And I also think that all that ties up to all these people that have anxiety, like anxiety levels risen up and stuff, because it's like these people are not put in these situations throughout their whole life.
Mm-hmm.
They reach 19, 20, 21, and they get, they go out to get a job or whatever, and then they get on an interview, and then that interview, the 4-hour interview, and then they get rejected, and then what happens? They're like, oh my God, I'm getting anxiety because they've never been put in these situations. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Do you think this is where wokeness comes from?
I mean, probably.
Yeah, like a certain, like
because they've never been in an uncomfortable situation. So when they watch a fucking Disney movie or they watch a fucking Pepe Le Pew,
uncomfortable.
They're like, oh, that kind of makes me feel uncomfortable.
That's why also
I don't like that feeling, so I'm just gonna shut it down. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, it's probably.
And that's why a lot of them yell and stuff when you have an argument, because they can't grasp the idea of like, oh man, this person's like actually saying stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They're making me uncomfortable because maybe what they're saying. I don't know.
Yeah. That's why I said you can't always be happy. Looking for happiness is just on here like.
I listened to that's the guy that I was like on the Joe Rogan about like how people are like you're never not bored.
Yeah, you're never not bored.
Yeah, he talked about that, and I was like, God damn.
And when you're bored, you just pick up your phone and you're not bored,
said, dude.
Rather than let your fucking, your imagination fucking go wild.
And that's when I was like, I need to read a book, dude.
Yeah.
I swear to God, dude. At that moment when I heard that, because he like literally described what I do.
Yeah.
Like I'll be playing with my son, and then he'll run away from me for like 2 minutes, and I will look at my phone, dude.
Yeah.
And sometimes I legit like put it to charge far away from me, so I don't go over there and check it. Yeah. And I would go. Sometimes you'll text me and then like 3 hours later I'll text you back. That's not because I don't like literally I would just leave it charged and I don't check it until literally 3 hours. I would put it down and I'm like, nah, dude. Because there'll be some days where I just keep going, like keep looking. It's like, what am I? I'm looking at the same damn pictures over and over.
Yeah.
Dude. And it's like, and that's when I was like, dude, I need to read a book. I need to make sure. And I got one for my wife too.
And people think like, oh, like I don't have social media. So like, But it's like, but you still look at YouTube. You still check Netflix.
Yeah.
You still check everything. You're still in front of a fucking screen.
Yeah.
When are you not in front of a screen?
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck.
That guy, that's why I bought, before I said it, that's why I bought a book and I bought my wife a book. And I told her every day when the kids go to sleep, dude, for 45 to an hour, we're just going to read a book. Dude.
Yeah, dude.
I told her, I was like, dude, we need to do this because we just on the phone all the time.
Everybody should do something like that, Just put your fucking phone away, like somewhere where you can't see it, and like fucking read a book, write a journal, exercise, stretch, just something where you're not in front of a screen.
You know I mean? So we can end this shit. We can end. Roberto Martinez, the guy that I listen on podcasts, he says that he takes craziest shit. He takes showers in the dark. Yeah. He says he just turns off the lights, takes showers in the dark, and he said that when he started doing that, that's when he like legitimately was able to start like creatively thinking. Yeah. He would just take showers in the dark, dude. Yeah. And the other fool would be like, in the dark? What the hell? And he would like, just try it, dude. Yeah. Just turn off the lights and go. He's like, and the other guy was like making jokes like, yeah, dude, I missed the fucking soap. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he was like, nah, just go in the shower, dude, in the dark and just don't let anything distract you and just sit there for however long. And he said sometimes that he would just Like he was having trouble because he was getting censored on Facebook, and he was like trying to call people and stuff. And he said, I turned off all the lights in my room. I laid down on the floor, and I just looked at the ceiling for however long until I just could relax.
Just go walk, do something, but just get off your phone, get off the screen. That's it, you know. And
that's my advice, dude. I'm gonna try that. Yeah, I am. I'm gonna try to just take a shower.
Everybody should just start with 30 minutes of your day. Just put away your phone, like the TV, everything. Just do something.
Yeah, do something. I don't listening to stuff, like legitimately just listening to stuff. Not like to watch and listen. I'm talking about listening to stuff. I think it's not that bad. Just listening. Like where you're just gathering information. I personally don't think it's that bad. Like if you're listening to a podcast where somebody like they're talking about philosophy, I don't feel like that's bad because I feel like, you know, you're expanding your brain. But when you're just like scrolling through just to scroll through, I think that's where it becomes an issue in my opinion. You know, because there's a difference between being bored and then doing nothing at all, like being bored and then just literally doing nothing at all and just scrolling through. Like I'm just scrolling through just to scroll through, and being bored and being like, I want to learn something new. Let's listen. Yeah, you know, I think there's a difference there, in my opinion. I don't know if that's take a shower at night. Here,
it's okay to be bored.
Take a shower in the dark.
It's okay to be uncomfortable. Yeah. It's okay to fail. It's okay to it's not okay to be fat.
I have no idea what's going on in Palestine and Israel. Let's go back to that. If you're still listening, we're 2 hours in.
We'll split it.
I think we should split it on like there's like 4 topics. Yeah. We can split it on the TV shows too. That one's good. I like that. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to our
Thank you for coming to the TSRP
random podcast. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Yes, sir.
Jair may come for a short one. Who knows? He said he was, and he stopped doing that after 1 week. So that was not lived long.
I felt uncomfortable.
Feel uncomfortable right now. All right, everybody. Peace out.
Peace out.